Hello, little dreamers. Welcome to Sweet Dreams. Tonight, we have another wonderful bedtime story filled with enchantment and wonder. Get ready to go on an exciting adventure with the Little Red Riding Hood. Let's begin. Once upon a time, in a little village nestled among tall trees and rolling hills, there lived a sweet little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She was called that because she always wore a beautiful red hooded cloak that her grandmother had made for her. One day, Little Red Riding Hood's mother asked her to take a basket of goodies to her grandmother, who lived on the other side of the forest. Her mother said,
"Be careful, my dear. Stay on the path and don't talk to strangers."
Little Red Riding Hood promised to be careful and set off through the forest, humming a happy tune as she walked. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and Little Red Riding Hood felt like nothing could go wrong. But little did she know, there was a cunning wolf lurking in the forest, watching her every move. The wolf had heard about Little Red Riding Hood's journey and had a mischievous plan in mind. As Little Red Riding Hood skipped along the path, she suddenly spotted a beautiful patch of flowers off to the side.
"Oh, how lovely,"
she exclaimed, forgetting her mother's warning to stay on the path. While Little Red Riding Hood was picking flowers, the sly wolf crept closer and closer, his eyes gleaming with hunger. When he was sure that no one else was around, he approached Little Red Riding Hood with a friendly smile. The wolf said in his most charming voice,
"Good morning, little girl. Where are you off to today?"
"I'm taking some goodies to my grandmother."
Little Red Riding Hood replied, not suspecting anything amiss.
"Ah, how kind of you. And where does your grandmother live?"
The wolf said, his eyes twinkling with mischief.
"She lives on the other side of the forest, in a little cottage by the big oak tree."
Little Red Riding Hood said innocently. The wolf's stomach growled with hunger at the thought of a tasty grandmother waiting to be eaten. But he knew he had to be clever if he wanted to get his paws on the goodies.
"Why don't you take the longer path through the woods?"
The wolf suggested, pointing in the opposite direction of Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's house.
"It's much prettier and more scenic."
Little Red Riding Hood hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. But the wolf seemed so friendly, and the path he pointed to did look very pretty.
"Well, all right. Thank you for the suggestion. I'll take the scenic route,"
she said, smiling at the wolf. As Little Red Riding Hood skipped off down the path, the wolf's lips curled into a sinister grin. He licked his lips in anticipation, knowing that he would soon have a delicious meal waiting for him at the grandmother's cottage. Meanwhile, Little Red Riding Hood continued on her way, completely unaware of the danger lurking in the forest. She hummed a happy tune as she walked, her basket of goodies swinging from her arm. But as she neared her grandmother's cottage, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The woods seemed darker and quieter than usual, and a shiver ran down her spine. When she reached the cottage, Little Red Riding Hood hesitated for a moment before knocking on the door. Eventually, she gained courage and knocked on the door and waited to hear her grandmother's kind voice. But instead of her grandmother's familiar voice, she heard a low, growling sound coming from inside saying,
"Oh, isn't it my Little Red Riding Hood? Please come in."
With a sinking feeling in her stomach, Little Red Riding Hood pushed open the door and stepped inside. What she saw made her heart pound with fear. There, lying in bed, was not her grandmother, but the big bad wolf, wearing her grandmother's nightcap and glasses. His eyes gleamed with hunger as he licked his lips and leaped out of bed, ready to pounce. But before the wolf could reach her, Little Red Riding Hood's courage flared up like a bright flame. She reached into her basket and pulled out a handful of goodies, tossing them at the wolf's feet.
"Here, Wolfie, have some goodies,"
she shouted, her voice ringing with bravery. The wolf stopped in his tracks, momentarily stunned by the unexpected attack. As he scrambled to pick up the goodies, Little Red Riding Hood seized her chance and dashed out of the cottage, running as fast as her legs could carry her. Behind her, the wolf howled with frustration, realizing that his plan had been foiled once again. He watched helplessly as Little Red Riding Hood disappeared into the forest, safe and sound. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood always listened to her mother's warnings and never strayed from the path again. And though she would always remember the day she was outsmarted by the big bad wolf, she knew that she was stronger and braver than she ever thought possible. And so, With a skip in her step and a twinkle in her eye, Little Red Riding Hood continued on her way, ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead. For she knew that no matter what challenges she might encounter, she would always find a way to overcome them with courage, kindness, and a basket full of goodies. And that was the end of another wonderful bedtime story. If you enjoyed this magical fairy tale, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more enchanting stories. Until next time, may your days be filled with wonder and joy. Goodbye.